Hello, this is Chris Fulton. I'm a ServiceNow solution consultant, and I want to talk to you today about the solution that I created called On-Demand Reports, which is available in the ServiceNow Share site. You can see that record here on your screen. This consists of an update set that adds a couple things to your instance, a record producer, and a scheduled script execution job, as well as a PDF document for you to view that explains how the solution works and some configuration that you need to do in order to make it work. I've tested this both on Geneva and Helsinki and should work on previous versions, but please test it in your environments prior to putting it into production. The use case for this is, over the last couple years, I've had customers ask me about how can non-licensed users, the casual user that needs access to a report just once in a while, be able to get a report on demand and not have to wait for a weekly scheduled report or to ask someone else to send them the report. And so out of that, I created this solution, which is simple to use, it meets that criteria, and it solves the problem that customers have asked me about. So let's walk through a quick demo. I've exposed this in my service catalog. You can do the same after you do the update set. The PDF document describes how you can change the record producer to be in whatever part of your service catalog you'd like it to be. Once you've exposed it, you can then go into your self-service portal and execute it from there. In this case, I called it Report Request on Demand. That's what it is by default. You can modify that if you'd like to. And it's a fairly simple form. It just has three pieces of information. The first is who requested it, and that's me, Chris Fulton. That's who I'm logged in as. The second line is the email address or addresses of those that you want to send this report to. So I'm just going to send this to myself, and that's it. It is a required field. If I wanted to add multiple people, I would just add additional email addresses and use comma separator between those email addresses. The third field is the report name. So what report do I want to send out? And you can start to type here, and I'm going to do incidents by priority and state. And that's the report that I want to have generated on demand and sent to my email address. So once I hit submit, you'll see that it says your request has been submitted. Check your email for the requested report in a few minutes. So that's all there is for the end user to do. They're done now, and they can go request additional reports or do other things within the service portal. Let's look at the fulfiller interface and see what happens on the back end. The record producer itself has a script which basically creates a scheduled job. And we'll see that scheduled job here. And it creates it with a unique name called RPT underscore on dash demand underscore, and then a random number after that. This allows you to have many of these requests created over the course of a day. And then there's a cleanup script that we'll take a look at that removes all these scheduled jobs. You'll notice that I set it to inactive, so it's active as false. And if we look at this, it's just a scheduled email report. Here's the report name that I selected at the top. Here's the email address or addresses that it's going to. You could go in and add the subject and additional data and the details if you wanted to. For purposes of the code that I created for the share, it just doesn't create a subject or a message, but feel free to modify that however you would like. Once it creates this record from the record producer, you'll see the code in there that actually pushes the Execute Now button through code. So it actually creates this and then does the Execute Now, which then creates the report and emails it to the user. So that's the scheduled job that gets created. And you can have, you may see many of these out here as users are executing jobs, and they all have this same name format that you see here. I can see that this email has gone out, so if I go into my email logs, you'll see here where some have gone out. In this case, here's the one I just created at 4:10, and it went out to Chris Fulton at ServiceNow.com. Now, if I go into look at a cleanup job, this is also part of the update set. It's another scheduled job, and essentially what it is it runs daily by default, and it queries for those scheduled jobs that are reports that start with RPT underscore on demand underscore, and it'll match those reports and then delete those on a daily basis. That way they don't build up over time. You can run this more or less frequently based on what your requirements are. At the end of this, the end user is going to get the report in their email box, and they'll be able to see near real-time data as required. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this solution.